Good day, friends. In my last video, which was yesterday, I spoke about the 25th SEO summit in China. And today I'll talk about the second Victory Day parade held in China on September 3, which was a spectacular event. Now, I said this event was about peace by deterrence. And deterrence is what was showcased in terms of PLA capabilities at the parade, and it was spectacular because it was reported that 25 heads of government were there and numerous military leaders, including Pakistan Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir. Now, before I talk about the high points of the parade, there are certain very important issues connected with that I wish to talk about. So, let me start with them. The first issue is what exactly are the PLA's capabilities? You see, what was shown at the parade and what was called deterrence obviously against the PLA's peer competitor, which is US military, was what is already in service with the PLA. That was shown. But there are many capabilities of the PLA which are in service, but they were not spoken about. And some are big capabilities. For example, we know the PLA has H-20 stealth strategic bombers, which are the equivalent of America's B-2 bombers. And then we know that in August 2021, China demonstrated successfully the test of FOBS, which is Fractional Orbital Bombardment System with hypersonic glide vehicle as the payload. It was done so well that the senior-most military officer of US military, General Mark Miller, called it a Sputnik moment. Then we know that PLA has capabilities which are in various stages of development, prototypes. They are not in service yet. For example, PLAF, PLA Air Force, it flew two sixth generation prototype aircraft, which is the J-35 and the other one they are calling J-50. Then surely PLA has capabilities which are hidden, which have not been showcased, which will remain hidden because they are meant to spring operational surprise in war against a peer competitor, and these are the capabilities we call assassin's maze weapons. Then, and perhaps the most important, is that PLA today has the capabilities which simply cannot be seen, they cannot be shown, and this is about autonomy. It is about artificial intelligence in various stages in its weapons and its platform and its systems. So, what sort of a capability they have today? One way to find that is that in 2020, a retired Deputy Defense Secretary of America, Robert Work, he made a very interesting statement and he said that between Russia and China, China is well up, it's ahead in having AI in its networks, which is the software networks, which is what the Americans call AI at rest. And this is a big deal. Why it is a big deal is because when you have AI in systems in your networks, then you can comb the data faster, you can spot the targets faster, and you can offer options to the commander faster than the enemy, and therefore own side can close the kill chain faster than the enemy can. Then we also know in 2019 reports came that PLA has put a lot of money in research on edge computing. Now, when you put these things together, they having good capabilities of AI at rest, which is AI in software networks and edge computing, it becomes very clear that they have intelligent robots also. And robots can be anything from sensors to humanoid robots. Because please remember, without intelligent networks, intelligent robots cannot deliver. They both depend on one another. So the point to make is enough capabilities exist. Similarly, PLA has good capabilities in cyber and electronic warfare, and AI would now be part of both of them. And the Americans are already talking about the PLA having very good capabilities in both these domains. electronic warfare and cyber with AI in it, which is advanced then. Now, this is about the autonomy. Then we know that the PLA has uh, very excellent capabilities in space, which is why the Americans in 2019 they raised a new force called Space Force. And the responsibility of the space PLA capabilities in space is of a new arm which is called Aerospace Force Arm. Then we know and we saw at the parade, they showed the electromagnetic weapon, which was LY-1 laser weapon system, a naval system, big one. We don't know how powerful it was. We have no idea what sort of laser capabilities they have. And we do not know what sort of capabilities they have in high power microwave weapons, which certainly is big. And then, please don't forget that the PLA is well up in information warfare, which is the responsibility of political work department that works directly under the CMC. So the point to make is what was shown as deterrence at the parade was a minuscule of the PLA capabilities that actually exist. So they are huge. The next point I want to talk about is that all these capabilities they are indigenous. That means the PLA today is self sufficient in platforms, in capabilities, in weapon systems, and therefore it is in a position to do both a long war and a short war with continuous surge operations. And it will have minimal cyber threats. Cyber threats can never be ruled out, but they'll be minimal because everything is indigenous. The next point to remember is that unlike the Western countries that sell arms for money, for profit, PLA does not do that. PLA gives arms or sells arms for geopolitical reasons. For example, it will first prefer giving arms to the BRI nations. Why? Because it's a concept of indivisible security, an entirely different subject. For example, in South Asia, they have given enough arms to Bangladesh, which is on board BRI. The only exception they make is Pakistan. Because in all the other countries that they give the arm, they give a diluted version of the capability which they have in their inventory, not so with Pakistan. Because during Operation Sindoor, we saw that Pakistan Air Force used the Chinese PL-15 air-to-air missile, and everybody speculated that this would be the export version, which is PL-15E with a range of 145 kilometers. Turned out it was actually PL-15 with a range of 200 kilometers. And now we also know that PLA has two fifth generation aircraft, which is the J-35 and the J-20. They are just about J-35 getting inducted in their own inventory, but they have committed 40 aircraft to the Pakistan Air Force already, and the J-35 they have AI capabilities which can help close the OODA loop faster. So the point to make here is, and this is something that the Indian military should note, before Operation Sindoor, I had consistently said that the Chinese will support Pakistan military with what is, and what India will face is what is called a one front reinforced war after Operation Sindoor. Please remember, in my assessment, the Chinese will now build up the Pakistan military to be the leading military power in the region. My next point is that all these commentators, the Western commentators, they were talking about what was showcased at the parade, that this is specific for the Taiwan theater. The point is, there is no weapon system which is theater specific. A weapon system with modification can used anywhere, and what needs to be remembered is that PLA has ensured that its capabilities or weapon system are for all the three physical domains, which is of air, land, and sea. So this point needs to be kept in mind. Then the commentator, the official commentator, which was giving out the commentary, said repeatedly that these are the capabilities for PLA's informatized and intelligence-sized war, the joint force, what they are working on, joint operation. Sorry. Now you see what we need to understand is, as far as the Indian military is concerned, this is specific for them, that unlike the joint force that the US military has, as far as PLA is concerned, they do integrated joint operations, but they do not believe in a joint force. They believe in mission sets, something which is very interesting, which is very flexible, and it's a something that needs to be looked into. So the point to make is that for the informatized war, what the Chinese today have, the PLA has, are four services, which is PLA Army, PLA Air Force, PLA Navy, and PLA Rocket Force. And in April of 2024, it has raised four specialized arms. And these are Aerospace Force Arm, Cyberspace Force, Information Support Force, and Joint Logistics Support Force. Now, once we keep all these things in mind, let us now look at the parade and what was showcased. And instead of just talking about all the weapons in a random way, let us look at them from the point of view of PLA's informatized war and intelligence-sized war. Now we know PLA's informatized war is about systems destruction warfare. That is what it is. Now what that means is they will attack the communications of the US military. And the communication, the key to that are the software networks which the Americans call battle networks and the PLA calls operational systems. So their first target will be the battle networks, then command and control systems, and then other valuable targets. The whole idea would be to cut the communications of the US military. That is what systems destruction warfare is about. So the three key capabilities for that which are required, we saw that the PLA is well up on them and they were demonstrated, and they are in non-kinetic, we are looking at, sorry, the non-kinetic, kinetic capabilities, and I have also included their integrated air and missile defense systems. Now in non-kinetic, which is about space, electronic warfare, and cyber, we saw the contingent or the marching columns of the aerospace force, which is a reality, cyberspace force, information support force, and the joint logistic support force. So we saw those columns, we saw certain capabilities, but we do not know what exact capabilities are there in those platforms, the platforms that we saw. But as far as PLA rocket force is concerned, I mean, there is unanimity, there is no doubt in anybody's mind that today the PLA has the largest and the most varied rocket force in the world, which is the nuclear and the conventional missile systems. But certain key ones, which obviously caught my notice and which was shown for the first time, are the DF-61 missile, again nuclear capable, with a reported range of 15,000 kilometers. It's a mobile missile. Then the other was the DF-5C ICBM, meant for the silos, and this with a range of 20,000 kilometers and with 12 MIRVs, can hit obviously anywhere on the earth. And the next was JL-3, which is the third generation submarine launched ballistic missile, which will be used with the Jin class submarine with a range of 10,000 kilometers and with 3 MIRVs. I mean, these are big capabilities. Then what was showcased was the YJ-21 hypersonic anti-ship ballistic missiles for the first time. And of course, they have the DF-17 also, hypersonic. In fact, they have very good capabilities in the hypersonic missiles, hypersonic cruise missile, hypersonic glide vehicles, because they believe that the near space is where the main battle is to be fought in the air. And then what was shown is the JL-1, which is the air-launched ballistic missile, which will be used, the commentator said, which the H-6, which is a nuclear bomber. And as far as the integrated air and missile defense is concerned, the most important thing shown for the first time was HQ-29, which is a capability equivalent to the Russian S-500. Something that reports in India say that India is looking at to buy from Russia an S-500 and HQ-29 have the capability to hit satellites in the low Earth orbit. So it's a huge capability. And then, of course, as far as tanks are concerned, it was the Type 100 tank, the fourth generation tank, and of course its support vehicle, also combat vehicle with that, again Type 100 with the unmanned turret, advanced radar, active protection system. So basically meant for their airborne assault formations. So if they can take it to Taiwan, surely they can bring it to Arunachal Pradesh as well. And then, so these are the capabilities of the informatized war. Now, when we talk of intelligence-sized war, then what is being done is you have to put artificial intelligence in it, and we are looking at unmanned system. So, some of the unmanned system of great interest, of course, to me, the most interesting was the GJ-11 stealth attack drone, which was being called the Loyal Wingman, that made a debut in this parade. And this, of course, is being talked for a very long time. It has AI capabilities for autonomous navigation and mission planning. It can be used both independently as well as a loyal wingman. Now, you see the capabilities. It has supposedly the range 4,000 kilometers with a cruise range of 1,000 kilometers, and it can carry a payload of 2,000 kg. So it's a huge capabilities. Now, as far as the unmanned system is concerned, a lot of naval systems were showcased, and obviously one of the most important ones was the AJX-002. This was a sea drone, but there were other drones also. So the point to make is that today actually they are well up. The PLA is well up, and in all the in the capabilities and the targets that it has set for itself. I'll just talk of the targets in a while, but there's another aspect of the parade that needs to be mentioned, and that is the geopolitical aspect. Who were the people who were there at the parade? Now, at the parade, the key countries, in my assessment, of course, all the SEO countries, minus except Prime Minister Modi, who came back to India, they all came for the parade. But certainly, what caught the eye and surely everybody noticed was the leadership of China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and Pakistan. In Pakistan, both Field Marshal Asim Munir and the Prime Minister of Pakistan being seen together. Of these, please see that China and Russia, they are nuclear weapon powers, they are great powers. Then Iran is a near nuclear weapon capability, North Korea is a nuclear capability, and Pakistan is a nuclear capability. And then there were reports that Pakistan Prime Minister and Field Marshal Asim Munir, they also met with President Xi Jinping. They had a one-on-one meeting, and Pakistan Prime Minister also met with Russian President Putin there on the sidelines, and President Putin spoke of Pakistan as being an ally of Russia. So the point to make here is that Pakistan today geopolitically is at the right place. Now, as far as timelines are concerned, the timeline which are being spoken about is the 100th anniversary of PLA, which falls in the year 2027, which is just 2 years from now, where it is said that the PLA will have a capability to fight and win in the Western Pacific. What this means is up till the second island chain, which is Japan to Guam and southwards, which includes both the Taiwan Strait as well as the South China Sea. See, as far as India is concerned, PLA does not even consider as a competitor or a rival. Now, as far as the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party is concerned, they want to become a modern military which is able to have worldwide presence to protect their projects, their people, their infrastructure, and their interest across the globe, which is there as part of Belt and Road Initiative. So the point I'm making is that as the very methodically Chinese have gone about, it becomes very clear from seeing the SEO summit and after that seeing the Victory Day parade that you build your capabilities as you grow economically. They have to grow side by side. Thank you so much.